Hey everyone, and welcome to another Sasquatch Theory podcast. On this episode, we have an anonymous caller from the state of Arkansas who had a very close up and personal Bigfoot encounter that she wanted to share with all of us here on Sasquatch Theory. You can tell that this encounter has really affected the caller, and she has been coping with this for many years now. When you have an encounter like this, you replay the experience over and over in your mind, trying to find an answer. The hardest thing to deal with when you have a Bigfoot encounter is nobody has an answer other than these creatures do live out there in the forest, but in the skeptic's eyes, these things do not exist. So it's really hard to tell people about these experiences. Have you had a Bigfoot encounter before, and would you like to share it with me here on the channel? If so, please get in touch with me sometime at sasquatchtheory@outlook.com, and I would certainly like to hear about it. If you guys can, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below. Alright, with all that being said, let's dive into our next Bigfoot encounter from the state of Arkansas.
Okay, it was November the 18th, which tomorrow's November the 18th, 2021, and I think it was on a Thursday. I live in Hope, and I had to go to a rheumatologist in Shreveport, Louisiana. There's not one around here. There's one in Texarkana, but he was not taking any new patients, so I had to drive every 3 months, which I had been going about 4 years. And I would have to drive down there every 3 months just to have them do x-rays and things like that, just to see if my arthritis has gotten worse and whatever. On that day, my appointment was at 3 o'clock. And I'm usually in there for about an hour. And it was very cloudy that day. When I got out, it was in downtown Shreveport. And there's two ways to go. One's interstate, and the other is through what I call the back ways. And that's the way I always went, because it was wooded, it was peaceful, not a lot of traffic. That's what I liked. I would end up in Bossier City and then cross over the Red River Bridge into Shreveport. Okay, on that day, I think I got out of the doctor's office around 4. And like I said, it was very cloudy, so I went ahead and turned my headlights on, which everybody else had theirs on also. And I think I got Bradley is about 40, maybe 40 miles from Hope. And it's also about 40 miles from Bossier City. I think I got into just, reading your response to my email. You were talking about public area. Well, Bradley is just, you blink and you've already gone through it. It's just one convenience store, and that's it. It's wooded all the way from a little town called Louisville into Bradley, and then before you get into Louisiana, the Louisiana state line, is just nothing but woods and a house here. A few miles down, it might be another house. It's very wooded. And there was a car in front of me. There was not a lot of traffic at that time, but it was starting to get dark because the time had changed. And I would say it was a little after 5. And it was 8 to 10 miles before I got into Bradley. And the car in front of me, we were both going around 55, which that was the speed limit. And the car in front of me jerked over to the shoulder. And immediately there was just something big. I saw what he was trying to avoid hitting. Well, as I got up on it, which I wasn't that far behind him, I saw what it was, and he just stopped. He was slumped over the whole time, but I drive a Honda Accord. My hood of my car sits kind of low. I could see his knees. He stopped before he got to the shoulder. I could have either gone around him, but I couldn't have kept going because I would have hit him. But I was at a complete stop. And in the meantime, the car ahead of me had gone down a little ways and he pulled over on the shoulder and he just parked. He had his lights on and I could even see his brake lights, had his foot on the brakes. And this thing, it was red. That's all I kept thinking. It's red. It's red. It could have been brownish red, whatever. I could just, in my mind, I see red and long, long hair. His arms were, as he was walking before he stopped in front of my car, he was swinging his arms, and I could actually see the hair on his arms moving. And then when he stopped, before he got on the shoulder, he turned around. His body did not turn around. He just turned his head around and looked at me. I kept thinking when I got home, I kept thinking he had a crest. I kept thinking of a cardinal bird, the crest that they have, that he had a crest. Until a year later, I finally found your channel, and you were talking about a cone shape. Maybe that's what that was. It was
Yeah.
not round. I kept seeing that crest.
Mm.
And he stood there for a few seconds, and when he turned around, he looked at me, and I don't know what his normal face looks like, but it looked like he had a frown. His eyes were dark, and then he looked straight ahead. It was wooded, and he just walked slowly into the woods. Now I shook all the way home. It scared me so bad because at 68 years old, I never thought in a million years that I would ever see something like that. There's millions of people that may not ever see something like that, but I did. And I just don't understand why. Was I the one chosen to see this thing? It has changed my whole lifestyle. Um, my husband passed away in 2005. He was an Arkansas state trooper. Well, at that time, we lived in Little Rock, Arkansas, which it was one of the state capital. It was a larger city than what I live in now, and uh, due to his career, um, I suffered for it at times. People, that state police car sitting out in the drive, um, they would come and harass me, or I've had them try to break in on me. So he took me and bought a gun and took me to the state police headquarters firing range and taught me how to use it. Every day off, we went out there and he taught me, and I learned well. And I'll always remember him saying, under any circumstances that you go through while I'm not here, he said, always remember to be brave, but don't be stupid. Well, that night, that's what I thought when I got home. I sat down, and of course, that's when the tears came to my eyes. And I just kept saying, "Dear Lord, why? Dear Lord, why?" And I thought, was I brave? Was I stupid? But the change in my lifestyle is there. It was nothing for me to get out in the middle of the night and go to just right down the street and go to a convenience store or whatever to get something to drink or a snack or McDonald's, whoever was open, late. I don't do that anymore. I feel like if Bigfoot was in Bradley, Arkansas, and all the other places that he's been seen, why couldn't he be in Hope, Arkansas? I will not, if I'm at a friend's house, I will not let it get dark before I get home. It's changed everything about me. Uh, I used to take the trash out at night for the guys to pick it up the next morning. I don't do that now. It's during the day.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't blame you. I had the same thought whenever I seen the juvenile. It kind of reminded me of like a cardinal or a blue jay, like how the head
Yeah.
will crest at the top, and that's the feeling that it gave me. So I can relate to your story. Um, How long did you guys look at each other when the creature looked over?
Oh gosh, it seemed like it was forever, but uh, maybe 10, 15 seconds.
Yeah. And
He just stood there and looked at me. I didn't know if he was gonna jump on my car. I mean, you don't know. So I still had my foot on the brake, uh, and I just sat there. I mean, what else could I do? I could have gone around him, but I was afraid to move. But I didn't know what he would do. And then as I left, that car was still there. I wanted to stop so bad and ask them, I didn't know if it's a him or a her, what did you see? But, like I said before, being a female and it beginning to get dark, it's not safe. I didn't know who that was. So I just kept driving. I could not wait to get home. And I had another 45 minutes before I got home.
yeah, that's a long drive. Did the creature seem like it was scared, angry?
No, but it did have a frown. I mean, I don't know if that was a normal, that was normal for his face to look like, but it didn't look angry. It just had like a frown.
Yeah. And the creature, about how tall would you estimate it to be?
Like I said, I don't know why, but he was slumped over. But his knees, I could see his knees from the top of my car. I would have to say, my husband was 6'2", and I always thought he was a big man because I'm only 5'2". This thing would put him to shame. I would say at least 8 feet tall. Because I have all this time, I think about this almost every single day. I see him in my mind every single day. And I picture him if he stood up. That's about how tall I think he would be. I went a year and I would not get online and look up anything. I would not turn on the TV. I did not want to see a picture of him. I did not want to read about it. I was scared. I grieved over that, over seeing him. And then it was 2 weeks ago. Uh, my dear friend that not only believes in Bigfoot, but she also believes in me. I had others that I thought were good friends that asked me if I was off my medication or if I was on new medication and laughed at me. But this one, she truly believed me, and she she got up. She said, "Why didn't you ever get online and see if there was any other sightings in Bradley?" And I told her I just couldn't do it. And so finally, after I talked to her, I got online and all I could put in was strange sightings. And I just could not put the word Bigfoot. So I put strange sightings in Bradley, Arkansas. And the only thing that came up was a haunted cemetery. And so I told her about it. So she got online and she said, guess what? She said there was a sighting in Bradley, Arkansas in 2020. A 62-year-old man saw one, but it was in a different area going toward a place called Lake Erling. Because she had told me, her husband told me. Her husband is originally from Falk. He hasn't lived there many years, but he had family that was in that movie. Now, I saw that movie in 1972 when I was 16 years old, but I never thought about Bigfoot since that movie over 50 years ago. But he said that he had relatives that was in a movie, and he said, I do believe that, those people saw something. And so he said, but there has to be a lake or water source somewhere. Well, that's when I found out that there was a Lake Erling somewhere around Bradley. I don't know that area at all those small towns around there. All I know is how to get from here to Shreveport. I don't know anything about that area. I'm just going for a reason.
Yeah, I would say every
So,
county in Arkansas has had Bigfoot activity.
really.
I would say so. I mean, that's how it is here in Missouri. Like in every county, somebody has had something happen.
But to be laughed at,
Mhm.
that's why I stayed quiet for so long. I didn't want anybody laughing at me anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, my eyes did not lie. And I'm just not the type of person. I don't want positive or negative toward me. Just leave me alone. Uh, but don't laugh at me. I'm not the type of person to tell you I saw something that I never thought in a million years that I would see.
Yeah. Well, you're not going to get laughed at here. Could you describe the eyes? Were they like, could you see any white or were they like
I
black?
did. I did see white. They were dark, but I could see some white.
And was there any color to it?
Not the white. I mean, it was white, and
Hmm.
then the eyes were dark.
Okay. Yeah, I see what you mean. And about how long do you think the hair was?
It was so long. That's what I think of most. My friend said, "I can't believe you don't think of the face." It was the long hair. It was really, I mean, inches and inches long off the arms.
Yeah.
Because when he was swinging the arms, you could see the hair moving.
Yeah. And did it seem like it was clean hair or was it matted and dirty?
No, it was dirty.
Okay.
I don't know if it had rained in that area, maybe the day before, or the highway was not wet, but he looked wet. He looked like a wet dog.
Yeah. And did it seem like it wasn't doing well? Like it was on its own or something? Was wrong possibly, or that's just the way it looked?
No, he just looked like he was crossing from one part of the highway to the other. Um, it looked like he was going somewhere. Now, on the side that he was coming from, that is all the way from, I think it comes from Texarkana, but you see the railroad tracks in um, Louisville, which is the little town before Bradley, and it goes all the way. You see those tracks almost all the way till you get to Bradley, because or not Bradley. I'm sorry, Bossier City, because I've had to wait on that train before to cross over. And he came from the railroad tracks, which is nothing but woods. There's no houses on that side at all. Now, on the side that he went into the woods, the houses are very sporadic. It's just there's a house, and then a few miles later, there might be another house. Almost all of them set off the highway. And then you ask me if I saw any roadkill. If there was, I don't remember seeing any.
Yeah, it sounds like.
But he was coming from one side of the highway. He was not in I don't he was not in the middle, or I would have seen him. He was not in the middle of the highway. He was coming from one side going to the other one. The other car had to swerve to keep from hitting him.
Yeah, yeah, it sounds like he was either like following the rest of the clan or possibly some game. Whenever the headlights hit the Sasquatch, could you see any eye shine?
No, no eye shine.
Okay.
Oh, they were just dark.
Yeah. Well, I don't blame you for not wanting to talk to the other person that was parked there. It's kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and
It is,
yeah, that could
yeah.
be dangerous.
But I sure wanted to. I wanted to talk to someone that saw exactly what I saw.
Yeah.
But I just kept driving. I just could not wait to get home. And I was up all night thinking about what I saw. I would have a notebook and a pen at my table in my dining room and one at the table in my kitchen. And ever since then, I would sit down and write what I saw. And then the fear of someone coming in and seeing that and then laughing at me, I would tear it up. And then a day or two later, I would sit down and I'd write in that notebook. I'd write everything I saw. I have done that. I have gone through a lot of notebooks because it was my therapy
Yeah. So you've had a
to
hard
write it to
time.
write it all down. Oh yeah, I've had a hard time.
Yeah. And it's the same way with me. Whenever I seen the Sasquatch here in Missouri, there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about him. and think about like what they look like and every little detail. Kind of like scan it
And
over
why?
and over in my mind.
But God puts everything on this earth, and there's a lot of mysteries. This is a mystery, and I feel like one day when He's ready for us to understand, we will.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And it's hard to say why certain people see these creatures and others don't.
Yeah, it makes you wonder why certain ones are chosen ones.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, are there any more details that you can think of? Anything else that's happened in your life? Anything strange?
Not like that. Now, I have to admit that the good friend and I, for many years, we've been interested in paranormal. And we used to, it was two grandmothers, we used to go to cemeteries in the middle of the night just and take pictures. Just, we were just curious. Uh, I always said I would love to see a ghost, but I never said I'd love to see a Bigfoot. But there was one night we did see it was a strange light. And to this day, we don't know. This was about 8 years ago. We have no idea what that light was because that cemetery was out in the middle of nowhere. There was no, and the light was about the size of a basketball. And it was kind of following us, so we had to leave.
Hmm.
That's really the only strangest thing that I guess I've ever been through.
Yeah. What color was the light?
It was a bright light,
Okay.
bright white light. But it was, we sat in her vehicle and it was in front of us. And then it went out. And then it came to the right of us. It went out. And next thing you know, we're looking out my passenger window. And there it is.
So it was in the woods?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of that around here and I've seen the orbs myself. What do you think they are? Just spirits or
I, she disagrees with me, but I think it was an orb. She just kept, to this day, we talk about it and wonder, what was that? And she says, I just don't know. And I said, I truly believe that was an orb. And she said, I don't know. So I don't, she's got her own opinion. That's my belief that it was an orb. I don't know how big orbs are, if they're all different sizes, but that was the size of a basketball.
yeah.
But we didn't wait for it to come up to the vehicle. She said, I think it's time to go. I said, let's go.
Yeah,
And we've been back to that cemetery. And like I said, it's been 8 years because, things have gotten a lot meaner now. And two females going off doing these things, it's just not safe anymore. People have taken the fun out of it.
yeah, that's true. What do you think the Sasquatch are and where do you think they came from?
I don't know. I really don't know. I truly believe God was the one that put them here. His reason, we don't know.
Yeah, that's a good
But I just
answer.
think we'll find out.
Yeah, yeah, I
I
think so
think in
too.
time we will find out. Um, I don't think it's an alien. Um, I just think it's a mystery.
Yeah, yeah, it certainly seems to be. Um, let's see what else. So you said it had a frown face, like it was sad.
Um, no, it was more of a frown, but not like it was sad.
Hmm.
Uh,
Just
I
like
don't know
real
if it was just
serious.
normal, serious. That's more like it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like the juvenile I seen, it had like this serious look on his face, and
Of course, it almost got hit by a car. So, if it was a frown, then he had every reason to. I'm sure it scared him.
hmm and that blows my mind how they're able to like hide from people and stay so elusive, but sometimes get caught out in the open like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe it's just meant to be.
Yeah, yeah, it might be.
But I don't go that way anymore. I do the interstate. I
Yeah,
just cannot go that way anymore because I One friend told me that did believe me. She said, I don't think you'll ever see it again. And then after I started watching your channel and people are seeing, same person is seeing it more and more, uh, I don't want that possibility to, I don't want to see it again.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
But it felt good getting it out to someone that knows what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, yeah, I know exactly what you mean, and it's like I said earlier, it's definitely something you think about nonstop, and you mentioned that as well.
Well, I would write it down.
Mm,
I
yeah.
mean, I would write that same thing down every time I'd get my notebook out and I would write it down. And it would be the same thing. And then I would tear it out. And I was even afraid, although my name was not on there, but I was afraid even somebody going through my trash might see it, so I would tear it up. I
Hmm.
would just shred my paper up and then I'd turn around and I'd write it down again. That was just, it was therapy for me.
Did you ever try to draw it out on paper?
No, no, I don't want to do that.
No. Okay. Yeah.
No. You asked me if I could tell if it was male or female.
Yeah.
If I had a guess, I would say male because I did not, when the arms were away from the chest, I didn't see breast. So that's the only thing I could go by that I felt like it was a male.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like it. I mean, there's people that mention if they're female, you can see the breast, but I don't know. I don't know if that's always the case. It's hard to say.
Yeah, yeah. But I never thought about it until you asked that. And I thought, well, that's the only thing I could come up with is that I didn't see anything.
Yeah. Well, you said it was close to Bradley, Arkansas.
Yes.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I would say we were already in Bradley. It was just a few miles before you get into their so-called little town, where it's only, like I said, it's only got one convenience store and a
Hmm.
few houses, and then you're back in the woods again.
Yeah. So that kind of like borders East Texas, Louisiana, and
Yes.
Oklahoma. Okay. Yeah, that's definitely a hot
Yeah.
spot for Sasquatch activity, and I've heard a lot of stories from there.
But
Okay.
then I read, or she found the article of the man that saw it coming home from work one day, and he topped a hill, and he saw one. He said it was around Lake Erling, which I don't know where that is, but he had to go through Bradley to get home. I guess I don't know. Lake Erling, I think, is in a small town called Taylor, and the population is like around 500. And uh, he said when he got home, he told his wife to sit down. He said, I've got something to tell you. And she got on a Lake Erling Friends Facebook page and told his story and said that he was in tears and said that his hands were shaking and that some people believed him and others had said they saw the same thing on the same stretch of highway. He was coming from a town called Garland, Arkansas, said he worked at a construction job and then he went through Bradley to go to this Lake Erling and said he, before he got to the Lake Erling store, said he topped over a hill and there it was, and said that the shoulders and the head was red, but the rest of the body seemed to be brown. He said it was the way the sunlight was shining on it. It showed that it was red. His shoulders and the head was red, and he said it was very big.
Yeah.
That made me feel better. Even though I was coming from a different direction, we're
Hmm.
still talking about Bradley, Arkansas.
Yeah. I mean, there's been Sasquatch activity all over the state, and especially like in southern Missouri. I always enjoyed watching. Well, I wouldn't say enjoyed watching the Boggy Creek story, but it was a movie I would watch, and it kind of freaked me out watching it. The way they
Yeah,
depicted the Sasquatch, it wasn't like in a good manner.
yeah. Well, that's how they do movies, though. They exaggerate.
Hmm. Yeah, they
Of
do.
course, I'm sure it scared those people. You know, it scared me, and some of them, came face to face with it. Uh, I can imagine doing that. course, I came face to face with it. We just had a car in between us.
Yeah.
And
And
that was scary enough.
there was like a split second where you were wondering if that creature was going to come at you and try to get you or something, right?
Well, sure.
Yeah.
I didn't know if he was going to hit my car with his fist. I didn't know if it, jump on my hood. I didn't know. I mean, I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I just sat there and was still. I didn't go around him. Of course, I would have had to back up to go around him.
Oh, wow. So that was pretty close, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, it's a good thing you
So
didn't hit
I
it.
thought the best thing for me to do is just sit still.
Yeah. It's a good thing that it just kept walking into the woods. What direction did you say it was going to?
I'm not good at directions. I'm going north, coming from south,
Mm-hmm.
and it was coming from the left-hand side of the highway to the right-hand side.
Okay. Did you ever look on a map to see where it was going?
No, no, I didn't.
Okay. And you said it's just a lot of woods out there, no matter where you go.
It's just nothing but, yes, it's wooded.
Yeah, it's kind of
It's
hard to
very wooded.
trace things back when you're in deep woods like that.
And I know where it was. I won't ever forget where it was because going that direction, there was a dirt road on the right-hand side, and it was right past that. Now, I could probably see it on my way if I came back from Louisiana, but not going to, because I remember that dirt road across from the railroad tracks. But see, I haven't gone that way again. But like I said, I just remember that dirt road. I kept thinking, where am I? Where am I? Where was I? Where did it happen? And I kept thinking that dirt road that turns to the right, and then it was right down past that. I don't know where the dirt road goes to. I don't know if there's any houses down there.
Yeah. And for some reason, there was like a lot of Bigfoot reports in 2018 and 2019 all over the U.S.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, see, I just started reading because I wouldn't for a year. I did not want to read about it. I did not want to see it. I certainly didn't want to see a picture of it. I didn't want to know anything about it. I kept it inside me. And then I finally kind of broke free. I found your channel, and you sound so sincere. And I thought, my friend said, you've got to contact him. And it took me a little while, and I thought, it was, instead of writing it down in my notebook, I just started typing it. And I sent it to him. And then I sat down, I thought, I can't believe I just did that. But I was glad I did. Like I said, it's been therapy.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you for reaching
Some
out.
people might think, well, get over it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, until you see what I saw, you won't get over it.
Yeah.
Because you're fearing for your life.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what he was going to do.
Yeah, that's how I
And that's
felt
the
when I
last
encountered
thing
him
I
as well.
expected. I just never expected to see anything like that. Never in my life. Like I said, I saw that movie 50 years ago and never thought about it since.
Yeah.
And now that's all I think about.
Well, they got to be pretty intelligent because whenever they confront people, they have enough sense to just go their own way because they know it'll bring trouble.
And also, it was kind of like, this is my territory. Even though there's a highway for cars, that's his territory. Because he was kind of nonchalantly.
Yeah. What time of day did you say it was?
It had to be around, it was after 5. I turned my headlights on and when I left the doctor's office because it was cloudy. Everybody else had their headlights on. And like I said, the time had already changed. And it was getting darker earlier. It was not completely dark.
Yeah. That's usually like when wildlife starts to move, and I've heard a lot of researchers say that once it starts getting dark, that's when the Sasquatch will move, and I've experienced it before.
Well, also, that's deer season. Uh, do they? Does that affect them coming out more because the deer are running?
Yeah, that could have something to do with it. They're chasing the deer because the deer are moving more, and also there's more hunters in the woods pushing them around.
Well, I didn't mean. I just thought about that the other night when I was thinking about it. I thought, could that have been the reason why the guy that saw the other guy that saw one that he said that was in I think it was April, but then mine being in November, I think deer season starts. I don't know when deer season starts, but I know it's in effect by the time I saw it at the 18th.
Yeah. You mentioned it was a cloudy day. I wonder if it was windy out and possibly you couldn't hear cars coming.
It was not windy. I don't remember it being windy. And also, that's not a real busy highway, but a lot of people I think that live in Bradley and Louisville work because there's no place for them to work in a small town. They may work in somewhere in Louisiana. Um, did not meet a car during this, and none were behind me. It was just me and that white car in front of me. And even when I went on through Bradley, I didn't meet a car. And I don't know how long that guy, because I kept looking in my rearview mirror, watching that white car that had pulled over until I went around a curve and couldn't see me more, and he was still sitting there.
Yeah. Did you know the majority of Sasquatch sightings are from people seeing them while driving?
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Now, you go out into the woods a lot, don't you?
Yeah, here and there.
Camping.
Yeah, I live in a forested area, so it's just kind of a daily thing. Um
Are you not scared, or are you just excited?
um I mean, it freaks me out when they're around. Like if I know they're out there for sure, then it's kind of like, yeah, I don't want to walk out there because I know he's standing right there. But that's only happened a handful of times.
You can feel him looking at you?
Well, one time at the Mark Twain Forest, I got invited out to a place to do an investigation where a property owner was having Sasquatch coming up. And right before I was going to leave that day, they started wood knocking right when it got dark. And you can hear them breaking trees out in the woods. But yeah, I mean, it was for sure Sasquatch just because of what the property owner was reporting. And we all heard it. And it happened for like a good hour or two.
Are they talking to each other or warning each other?
Yeah, that's what we were thinking. It was some type of communication, but it's weird because we were out there all day long when the sun was out looking for like tracks or any sign, and nothing really happened. We heard like a thump out in the woods, but we couldn't make anything. We couldn't figure out what it was. So it was just strange to know that they were watching us the whole time, and we had no idea they were there.
Well, see, I have 42 acres out back.
Hmm.
And even though I am in the city, because state police headquarters is just right down the street, Kentucky Fried Chicken is just right down the street, but I'm in a wooded area. Although the highway in front of the house leads to the industrial area and it's very busy. But my 42 acres, I used to go back there only in the wintertime because of snakes. Uh, I would bundle up and go back there. I would see deer, chipmunk, chipmunks, you name it. I enjoyed that more than anything. Now, I had to quit doing it because of the arthritis, but I would not do it now anyway. I'm not going in the woods.
Hmm. What do you think about people that try to like communicate with these things? You know, like go out there and sit in the woods and talk to them. Do you think that's pretty dangerous?
No, I think it's great
Yeah.
to find out.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Um,
I mean, I'm sure it's scary, but I don't think that I could do that. But it's trying to figure out what's going on.
have you ever tried to do that? Like kind of make peace with it in your mind or like, you know, pray to find an
Oh
answer?
yeah. Oh, I have prayed. I have prayed so much.
Yeah.
It just hasn't happened yet. I am still. as I said before, I've grieved over it. I mean, I've seen a lot of things and I've been a lot of places. I just never thought I'd see that.
Yeah. It just
That's
happens out of
one thing
nowhere.
that my husband did not prepare me for. He prepared me for a lot of things before he passed away, but he did not prepare me for a Bigfoot. If it happened while he was still alive, he would not have believed me. He was not a believer in anything.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear about that. So do you think the Sasquatch was on its own for sure? Do you think it was traveling with the clan?
I don't know.
Yeah, kind of sounds like it was on its own just by the way you described it. And a lot of times people say that they have really nice, clean hair, and sometimes people will say the opposite, that it's matted and dirty,
Mm,
and it makes me wonder if
it's
like
a
one's
lot
not doing
dirty,
so good,
look wet.
like
Hmm.
what? Yeah. Um, I don't know. Maybe some just prefer to do different things, like get in ponds, where some want to stay really clean and I don't know, take care of
Do
themselves.
they normally stay together, more than one,
Um,
or a lot of them on their own?
I
Do you
mean,
know?
I think they travel in clans. Like even if they seem like they're alone, there's more around. Like they're not always together. Like together just means in the same area, like occupying the same however many
Yeah.
acres.
So there could have been a lot more behind him or in front of him.
Yeah, I kind of picture that, like three little ones running across the road, and then when this one tried to cross, that's when like the cars, when you guys
Yeah.
came into view.
Yeah.
But it's hard to say. I'm sure you wonder about this scenario a lot, or you do for sure. And there's like a million different scenarios that I run through my mind when I think about my encounters. Just because I feel like
I
they were
wonder a
watching
lot.
me or
Yeah.
something, or maybe they were hunting me, or it was just random. And then I think about like, are they physical creatures or spiritual, some type of ancient hominid? It's hard to say. There's so many questions.
There is. There's a lot of questions. But I mean, I know they're real. I just never thought about it before. I saw the movie and that was it.
Yeah. Well,
Never thought about it again.
I'll go ahead. No, I was just gonna say, what would you say for the people that pray to see one? Because I'm sure there are a lot of people that really want to see a Sasquatch.
Well, if they want to, I hope they do.
Yeah.
I can't say that I wanted to.
Yeah.
I've never said that. I've never thought that before.
Mm.
I'm not saying I'm happy I saw it because it's caused me a lot of pain.
Yeah.
It's just not. It's just not something I wanted to see.
No, I understand that.
And there's just a lot of people you can't talk about it to, and I needed to talk.
Hmm.
At first, I didn't want to, and then I've got that one very good friend of mine. Like I said, she believes in Bigfoot and she believes in me. So I can. Just 2 weeks ago, I was at her house, and her husband brought it up. He said, "Can you tell me your story again?" Well, I was glad to because it gets it out of my system, and he believes in me.
Yeah.
That makes me feel good. But I can't talk. Now, the other friend, two friends that did believe me, but they don't want to talk about it. They've got other things to talk about. They
Hmm.
say, just let it alone.
Yeah.
Well, it's easier said than done sometimes.
Yeah. It's a good feeling when someone actually wants to hear your story and you're kind of able to get it off your chest. But
Well, you have helped me today, and I appreciate you
hmm well,
just by listening to me and knowing that I saw what I saw. I
yeah.
feel like you believe me.
Yeah, it's no problem. I certainly believe you 110%, and I'm glad you got in contact with me to talk about your story. And the reason I brought that up earlier about people praying to see one or wanting to see one, because I have a lot of friends who go out there all the time and they just really want to see one. But I think in the back of my mind, it's like, man, if they do see one, they have no idea how it's going to change their mind, their way of thinking, the way they perceive life, and everything they do. So you got to be careful what you wish for as well.
Exactly. I would never wish for that, but more power to them. If they want to see one, I hope they do.
Yeah, I think it's just like ghosts. People want to know if there's more to life rather than the same mundane thing every day. But I don't know. Consider yourself lucky that you did get to see one, and I know it's hard to process and deal with, but you got to keep your head up high and just know that what you saw was real, and there's many other people out there that have seen the same thing.
Yeah. And many that have not.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just that I couldn't believe I saw something that millions of people may not ever see.
Yeah, a lot of people won't be able to see this, and it's just a right place, right time sort of thing, I think. Or like you said,
the wrong place at the wrong time.
Wrong place, wrong time, or you're chosen. It's hard to say because I don't know. I was reading this verse in the Bible. I can't quote it exactly, but it was saying that God will reveal mysteries to people in different ways, and not everyone will experience the spiritual.
Right.
So.
But I think someday He will let us know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bigfoot is here.
Yeah, I think so too.
But He's mysterious Himself. And so this whole world is full of mysteries.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think Bigfoot will be a mystery forever. I think we will understand what's going on and why he's here.
Yeah, I think so too. And there's some Native Americans that said they're like the guardians of the forest, and they protect animals and things like that. But it's hard to say.
Yeah. Well, the Native Americans sure did believe in it. Because they would talk about they call him the hairy man.
Yeah.
A hairy beast or whatever. So it's been around for a long time.
I mean, I think it's harder to find a group of natives that didn't believe in Sasquatch. Like, I haven't found a group that doesn't have a hairy man story.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing. It really is.
Yeah, it is. I would like to go down to Arkansas one day. It seems like a really pretty area, and it does sound like the place to do Sasquatch research. I'll have to.
Do you stay mostly in Missouri?
Yeah, mainly in Missouri. I'm trying to branch out, but it's just hard when it's just me. But I'd like to.
Because there's a lot in Missouri. And then I heard, my friend was telling me that, have you ever heard of the Queen, Arkansas? It's
No, I haven't.
It goes right into Broken Bow, Oklahoma. It's on the Ouachita River. That there has been sightings there. I don't know if it's on the Arkansas side or the Oklahoma side.
I've taken reports from the Broken Bow area in Oklahoma.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she was telling me about that.
Yeah.
She does. She reads more about it than I do, and then she'll tell me about it because I'm not ready to see a picture of him. Because I guess I would say that's him. That's him.
Yeah, and it's hard to say if like just one place is like really active, just because people have seen them in these areas. I think it's more of a regional sort of thing. Like, I can't just say, oh, they live here on my property because I seen them here, but I think it's just more of like the Ozarks. And
do you think that with Ozarks, look, I mean, anything could hide up in there, anything could live up in there, but do you think they travel, or do they find a place and stay?
I think they do both. They'll travel and seek out the food sources, and they all have different personalities on what they prefer to eat. And but I mean, overall, they follow the waterways. And if they find a place that they like, they'll definitely stay there for days, months, maybe even years. but they always tend to move on. Like they're always moving.
But then they're everywhere, and I don't believe that it's the same one. I mean, I believe that there's just some everywhere.
That's kind of how I feel. I feel like they're everywhere, especially with some of the areas I've found the Sasquatch in. It's like mind blowing. Like strips of woods in between state highways and interstates, things like that, and people just have no idea.
Yeah. Miguel, I'm so glad I got to talk to you. I'm glad I was brave enough to email you. It took me long enough, but
Yeah, I'm glad you got in contact with me, and it's always good to make new friends. And it's not every day that I hear a Sasquatch encounter, so it's good to find people who've actually seen these creatures. Just because a lot of reports I take is experiences. People heard of vocalization, or maybe they had rock throwing happen, but yeah, it's not an everyday thing that I talk to somebody who's looked at one of these creatures dead in the eyes.
well, I did that.
Yeah. Well, I believe you 110%, and I know anybody listening will as well. So don't be anxious about that, and don't worry about any ridicule.
That bothered me. That was depressing.
Oh yeah.
Someone asking me if I was off my medication.
Mm. Yeah, that was the hard
And said
part.
that it was a bear. I know what a bear looks like. That was not a bear.
Yeah. Um, about how far apart do you think the shoulders were? Like 4.5 feet. That's typical for the big ones.
That I couldn't tell you because I was looking at his right side. Um, I can't even guess that. I don't know.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of stories where they're kind of hunched over, and one of the Sasquatch that I seen was kind of slunched over. Not too much, but like its head was, like its chin seemed like it was connected to its chest. But you'd think they'd
Well,
have
no,
back issues,
his
but
shoulders, yeah, his shoulders were slumped over. He was not standing up straight.
yeah.
I
And
don't know why, unless the car in front of me scared him, and it caused him to kind of protecting himself, hunched over. I don't know, but he was not standing up straight.
yeah. Another theory is maybe it was looking for roadkill, because there's a lot of reports I take where people see these things eating something dead off the road, even like other cryptids that aren't Sasquatch. It seems like these things will travel the highways in search of roadkill.
Well, if there was any, but I really believe that he was just crossing the highway.
Yeah, that's the most likely theory, and that's what it sounds like
He was
from.
either going home or coming from somewhere and going to somewhere. But that was my feeling was he was trying to cross the highway.
And the left side,
And,
that's where he hangs out during the daytime, and at nighttime he goes into that other side. That's my theory.
and there could be ponds, on properties into the woods, you know, if they like to stay around water.
Yeah, I know this sounds weird, but I've always like thought it'd be cool to be a Sasquatch, like to not have to worry about like bills and like going to the
Well,
grocery
I agree
store.
on that one.
Yeah, being able to be self-sufficient and just take care of yourself with what you have given to you.
They don't need any electricity or anything, do they?
Yeah,
Just the water.
the paying taxes part, that's what sucks.
Well, I'm retired now, so I don't pay taxes. I guess I'm blessed on being old.
I think you should be good on not seeing another Sasquatch. I've talked to a lot of people who've only seen one, and that's all they ever seen or had happen in their life. So,
Well, now, I thought that at first. I had one friend that did believe me, but then, she didn't want to talk about it anymore. But she did say there's a big chance that you will never see another. You saw the one, that will be it. You won't see another. Well, I didn't, I thought that's, I'm not going to believe that. uh, because then after I started reading or watching your channel, there were people that have seen one more than once. So I'm like, see there, you're not right.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
there is a possibility that I will never ever see another one.
yeah. Well, that's the
Just
other
because
side
I
to it.
don't go that direction anymore doesn't mean that I won't see another one when I go down to Shreveport.
Yeah, I mean, if people are marked or whatever it may be, like if you did hang out in the woods and like go camping all the time, whatever, maybe you would have had more encounters, but you've kind of stayed out of the woods.
Oh yeah, I don't go in the woods. Like, it was always in the daytime, uh, especially early of the morning. I just love walking out back. I just don't do that anymore because I think they're anywhere in the daytime or at nighttime.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Nighttime, has it really changed that for you?
Well, I don't sleep a lot anyway, but I do listen
Mm.
more so than I used to. I had my share of problems when we lived in Little Rock, and but after I moved here, he passed away in 2005. It was 2010. I had a niece that lived here, and she just kept on wanting me to move here. And it's a lot smaller than when I lived in Little Rock and Hot Springs, but I kind of liked it. My parents had passed away, and I don't really have anybody. And now my niece has moved away, so but I joined a church, and I do have my church friends, but they do not believe in this sort of thing, so I have kept my mouth shut with them. As a matter of fact, the preacher and his wife comes by and picks me up on Sunday morning, and then my preacher's wife picks me up Wednesday night for Bible study. Well, she has always done this anyway, but she will. I have a circular drive, and my sidewalk starts at the drive, and it's a long walk up to my house. But she will sit out there and wait for me to get inside before she leaves. Now she's always done that anyway. Before this happened, I'm grateful that she does that because I don't like the dark, and I leave a lot of lights on in my house now. And I've always had my pistol in my nightstand, always. Before my husband passed away, and especially after he passed away, it's the same pistol he bought me. And I am aware of my surroundings now. Where used to, I don't know if I was brave and stupid or I don't know what I was, but 3 o'clock in the morning, there was nothing when Walmart stayed open 24/7. That's when I'd go buy my groceries and then haul them all in, in the middle of the night in the dark. It didn't bother me. I do not do that now. Even, of course, Walmart's not open anymore, all night long, but I would not dare do that now
Mm-hmm.
because I just kept telling myself, if there's Bigfoot in Bradley, Arkansas, who's to say there's not Bigfoot in Hope, Arkansas?
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. And whenever I was a little kid, I had a fear of the dark, and as I grew older, it just went away. But whenever I seen the Sasquatch, it changed that for me. And like I'm scared of the dark again, and I have like that similar feeling again as an adult, knowing that the Sasquatch are truly out there.
Yeah, yeah. It's changed me a lot. And when I was at my friend's 2 weeks ago, before it got dark, I told her I was not going to go. She said, I understand. I am not getting out of my car and in the dark. If I've left something in my car and it's already gotten dark, I'll wait till the next morning to get it. So I don't like that. I don't like that I've changed in that aspect because I was always just I, I just did what I needed to do. Well, I found out that evidently I don't need to do it.
Yeah.
Maybe I was being brave, but I was being a little stupid, by doing so. But it's just what I've always done. And this is a small town. It's not like it was when I lived in Little Rock and Hot Springs. You didn't go out at night alone. It was dangerous. And then what my husband did for a living, like I said, I paid for that a lot. It was taken out on me while he was away because that state police car is sitting in the driveway. I've had one guy had just gotten out of he was on a vacation from the mental hospital out of Benton, Arkansas. They have a mental hospital. And he was staying at his parents' house, and none of the neighbors knew about him. And he came banging on the door, and first he tore up my yard. He was doing wheelies and stuff in his car in my yard, tore my yard up. And then of course, the screen door was locked anyway, and he wanted to know if my husband was home. I said, "What do you want to know for?" He said, "I think you just told me." I'm talking about the state trooper. And I said, "Why do you want him?" And he just turned and walked off. Well, the interstate was just way too far. My husband worked the interstate. Well, most state troopers do. They work the interstate. And then a lot of times he was always chosen for special assignments out of town. And he could not get home. And so one of the other troopers that was his day off or work that night would come over and stay with me. Well, that got old. And that's when he bought me the gun and took me out to the firing range and taught me how to shoot it. But it we would be in the mall and somebody come running up to us, and my husband had put them in jail for drugs or whatever, and they would taunt us. So I got used to that. Now I'm in a small town. Nobody knows me. I have lived here since 2010, and except for church, which I go to a very small church, very few people, and most of them do live in Fulton, a small town from outside of Hope. Nobody knows me. Everybody leaves me alone. I've had one problem here. Somebody tried to get in. It was almost midnight one night, and I was reading. Didn't have a television going, nothing. It was very quiet. And I did what my husband told me to do. He told me, he said, when something like that happens, he said, you call the police. And he said, it may take them a while to get there. So he said, you get your pistol and you just sit down and you let them come on in. He said, when they come in, shoot them. I don't have a problem with that. But I don't want a Bigfoot to come in. That was what I was kind of, after that happened, I thought, and just like when somebody tried to come in that night, I called the police department. And it didn't take them long to get here, but I did exactly what my husband told me to do. I sat down in the chair in the living room with my pistol, and I thought, I'm going to just let him come on in. And I don't have a problem with shooting him. But now I fear when I hear things, I have a lot of armadillos. And I come up on the porch. I do have a security camera. I have a security, the motion light. I have a motion sensor. And uh, I don't sleep a lot, especially since I saw Bigfoot. It's like I feel like he followed me home. It's just that fear that I have.
Yeah.
It could be anything that's trying to get in. That it's only happened one time since I've been here. And but now I'm thinking, was it a person? Because I work out in the yard a lot, and or try to. With arthritis, it's kind of hard, but I take care of what's going on here. You know, I I take care of it instead of hiring somebody to do it. I try to do it myself. Well, this is a very busy highway with all the plants and stuff on down the highway, people working and going back. Well, they just see a female here. And that makes me wonder sometimes. I'd rather have more privacy, but then I don't like next door neighbors. And all I have is one across the highway. But then just right down the street, almost walking distance, is like I said, the state police headquarters, uh, KFC, convenience stores. So I'm in the woods, but I'm in the city. But I think they see just a female here, and who knows what they're thinking. But you better think twice before you come in my door. But I do lay in bed, and there's times in the summertime I like to have a fan going also. I won't do that anymore because it makes too much racket. I can't hear what's going on.
Yeah.
And that's simply because of what I saw in Bradley.
Well,
I've never been afraid before. I've been alone for a long time, and I've never been afraid, but I am now.
Yeah, I understand that, and I
But
don't blame you for
I think
caring.
someday though it will get better, won't it?
Yeah, it will. You'll just have to slowly start doing things like whenever it does get dark, maybe try going out there, getting what you need, and I don't know, try to face your fear maybe, or just keep doing what you're doing and make sure you got your pistol close. But I mean, always have your pistol on you, definitely.
I do. I sit in my chair and I have my pistol in my hand,
So you don't know
and
if,
I'm just waiting.
yeah, you don't know if that was a person though that tried to
I
get in.
don't even. Well, I think it was somebody. Yeah. It well, I mean, it wasn't any kind of an animal, but the police came. It was three of them came, and they searched around the house. And of course, I know what I heard because I actually went to the door and said, "Who is it?" And my motion light was not on, and I thought, well, I know what I heard. Well, the next day, a friend came over and she reached up there, climbed up in the chair, and reached up there, and it had been loosened where it wouldn't come on.
Yeah,
So it was somebody. But I just think sometimes is Bigfoot out there.
yeah, yeah. You
And
have to
I
wonder.
think yeah, I do wonder. But I do think that in time, I don't know how much time, I'll get better. I think I will. I don't know about going out at night, but
Yeah,
I may take that trip to Shreveport, and I may go through Bradley again one of these days because I liked it because it was so peaceful. I saw, and this was right outside of Bradley again, but it was before Bigfoot. I saw something in the highway, it was some roadkill, and it was just a big bird, is what it was, but it was huge. And I thought, what on earth is that? It, I mean, I know people see bald eagles every day. Well, I've never seen one in my lifetime, and it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. The wingspan was just huge. It's something about Bradley, Arkansas. There's things there that I see that I've never seen before, only in Bradley. I mean, people may not think that's special, bald eagle. Well, if you've never seen one before, it's special. That's why I like going that way, is because it was peaceful until you get on into Benton, Louisiana, and then there's Bossier City, and that's when the traffic gets really bad. But before that, it's nice. I
yeah.
miss not being able to go that way.
No, I understand that, and like I said earlier, it's difficult camping or being out there at nighttime sometimes, just because it makes me feel like bait.
Yeah, yeah. But you do it anyway, though, don't you?
Yeah, yeah, I do, and most of the time nothing ever happens. We don't hear anything, see anything, and if stuff does happen, it's minimal things. Maybe we saw like a light or heard a strange sound, something like that.
Well, you were talking about orbs. What has that got to do? Or does that have anything to do with Bigfoot?
Yeah, I think so. There is a connection with Bigfoot reports and people seeing these orbs in the same areas, including myself.
Well, now, orbs to me is strictly spiritual. It
Mm,
has to do with the spirit.
yeah,
So I think Bigfoot is like human and not a spirit.
yeah. Then again, we're physical beings, but we have a spirit as well. So
Oh, that's true. That's
maybe
true.
like how houses get haunted and develop paranormal activity. Maybe in the same sense, the Sasquatch, when they pass, their woods become haunted, and that's why there's like paranormal aspects to it, but
Okay.
yet still a physical creature that's
Okay.
out there, or creatures.
I understand that, and that makes sense.
Mm,
Just like us. We may be an orb someday.
yeah. Yeah, there's a bunch of different interpretations, and there's just a ton of theories on what they could be and what's going on out there.
Well, I just hope one day that we all live long enough to find out.
Yeah. Yeah, me
But
too.
then, we'll always have mysteries. There's always going to be mysteries.
Yeah, I don't think the human race will ever figure out every single mystery there is out there. I think many things will always remain a mystery.
And I guess that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too.
It keeps us wondering.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I don't think it'd be as much fun if we knew
Right.
everything.
We're not supposed to know everything, and right now we're not supposed to know about him. And but I do think someday we will.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Me too, and hopefully it's soon.
We'll just keep doing what you're doing.
Okay. Yeah, I will.
I appreciate what you're doing. I really do.
Yeah, and I appreciate you for contacting me and talking about your encounter. If you experience anything
Well,
else.
it was hard. It was hard,
Oh, I know it
and I
was.
was so nervous. I was just I can talk about it to my friend,
Hmm.
but but why I contacted you was, like I said, I felt that you were very sincere,
Yeah,
and
I
I
appreciate
thought
that.
he's the only one that I need to talk to.
Yeah. And when I post this, I'll be looking in the comments because there's typically people who are chiming in and saying, they've seen such and such in the same area or had the same experience. So I'm sure we're going to find people who have seen
Oh,
something
I
in
hope
that same
so.
area. Yeah.
I
Okay.
hope so.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
thank you so much, Miguel. I appreciate you so much.
yeah, it's no problem. And I appreciate you too. And like I said, I believe you. And I
I don't
know.
think I'll be writing it down anymore.
Well, good.
I've
Yeah.
been wasting a lot of paper.
Yeah, I understand. Okay. Well, if you do experience anything else, something happens, definitely contact me and
Okay.
we can talk. But I guess just keep doing what you're doing, stay positive, and just know that I believe you. A lot of people that are listening believe you, and everything's going to be okay.
I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That helps you. You're either my priest or my therapist that I've confessed to, and I feel a lot better.
Well, good. You're a good person, and you deserve to feel good.
Well, it'll be okay. Like I said, in time, it'll be okay.
It will be. You just have to stay positive and believe that it will be.
Well, you take care of yourself out there, and be careful. And maybe someday he'll come and shake your hand
Yeah.
and say, "Hey, I know you.
Yeah. Well, that'd be awesome.
Just be sure and get a picture."
Yeah, that'd be the ultimate goal. All right, well, hopefully we talk soon, and yeah, you take care of yourself, okay?
Okay. Thank you so much.
No problem.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, thank you very much for sharing your Bigfoot encounter with me from the state of Arkansas, and it certainly does sound like a terrifying one, and I'm sure that you were beside yourself for many years and you felt alone and isolated from the rest of society. And it's hard to talk to other people about these types of experiences, especially when they don't understand and they've never seen a Sasquatch. So it's really hard for people to relate with you and say, hey, I believe you, because it's just something that's so out of the norm, and these things aren't supposed to exist. So just telling someone simply is not enough. A lot of times people have to experience the activity or see one of these things for themselves to really believe. There really is a lot of Bigfoot reports from Arkansas, and it makes me wonder if it's because of all the waterways, the caves, and the dense forest, and I think that is a good explanation as to why. But for some reason, certain states have a lot more activity than others, and that's not to say that these creatures aren't around in other states, just some places have a lot of Bigfoot encounters, especially when you add up the numbers throughout the years. I think she was really brave to speak up about her encounter, and a lot of people take this to their graves, and they just don't ever talk about it, not even with family members. They don't share it with friends because they know that people will think they're crazy. But when you keep this inside, imagine how crazy you feel, because inside your mind you know that these creatures exist, but you can't talk to anyone about it. I am sure that is really difficult to do, and I personally tried bottling it up inside, and I just couldn't do it. I had to talk about it to feel better, and I think that is the key to releasing yourself from this prison of seeing a cryptid creature, is talking about it openly with trusted people, whether it's some podcast, a friend, or a family member. But don't keep it inside, because it will just cause more damage. So if you've had a Bigfoot encounter, try to talk about it openly to someone that you trust and see if it'll make you feel better. Maybe it won't. Maybe you'll feel even worse after talking to someone because there's no answers, but at least you can say that you tried. Alright guys, I really appreciate you for watching today. If you guys can, like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment down below, and hit the bell notification. If you guys want to support the channel, you can donate through the thanks button, PayPal, or you can purchase some merchandise. But yeah, until the next one, you guys be safe out in the forest, and I will see you guys later.